Welcome back to the Craic 10K chat. I'm marching, and while you are ahead of the SPAR Craic 10K on St. Patrick's Day, we promised you would bring you some legendary figures from the world of running. But of course, the most phenomenal thing about the running world at present is this upsurge in the park runs and the thousands of people who take part in park runs. Anybody is out around the city or around the towpath, when they see all these new people out running, it can be traced back to 2010 and Matt Shields having the bright idea of bringing the park run to the waterworks. So the park runs, of course, wouldn't exist if it wasn't for these band of volunteers, these band of heroes who weigh in every week, rain, hail or shine, who make it possible, who record the times, because there's nothing more annoyed than a runner whose time isn't taken, recorded perfectly for him or her, even though it's supposed to be a run, not a race. But all that takes a lot of dedication, commitment. But more than anything else, this repeat performance every Saturday morning, right across the country, the volunteers turn up. So an exemplar of that is our guest today. Fiona Teague is one of the linchpins of the Queen's Parkrun, which takes place in the Dub. Been going on for more than 10 years now.
14 years. 14 years this month.
14 years. And I'm fortunate enough to take part in it. Even in the most atrocious weather, as is in the parkrun spirit, people try to make sure it happens, and hundreds, certainly over 100 each week, turn up. So Fiona, but before that, because everybody says to me, who is this woman? So tell us a wee bit, just because, I mean, parkrun's made up of ordinary people. Tell us a wee bit about your own background, because you went away, you came back for some mad reason to stay here. But tell us a wee bit about your career and where you came from in terms of your working life.
Well, I'm retired now, but I am a nurse. You're maybe always a nurse, I don't know. So I trained in the Royal staff there, and then I moved to London and worked in paediatrics, trained in Great Ormond Street and worked in paediatric neurosurgery. And then I moved to Manchester and took a promotion there in paediatric neurosurgery. But there's a limit to how long you can do those kind of things. And I wanted to come home and settle down, so moved back to Northern Ireland, and I worked in general paediatrics in Craigavon and then the Ulster. And then I'd always been a shop steward for the Royal College of Nursing, and that began to take over more and more of my life. So eventually I became an employee of the RCN. So in my latter years, I nursed the desk rather than any patients. So yes, if anything does happen, people go, but you're a nurse. And I went, yeah, you don't really want me. One, you're over 14. And two, it's a long time since I have updated my clinical skills. So yeah, I wouldn't rely on anybody using me as a nurse. So
it's a career of great dedication. There's probably connection to the vocation you chose and being involved now and volunteerism. But when you came back, things weren't really a sea of tranquility here, were they? When you came back, well, what year did you come back?
Wasn't too. When did I come back? 1990. No, so I think things were on the up then. And I started in the Royal in 1979. Things were pretty bad then. And I lived in the Tower block at Broadway, so
wow, fantastic.
From the 10th floor, you could see what was going on. You could sense, okay, we're going to be busy tomorrow. It's going to be a bad night going on tonight, Judy, or whatever. But I was quite fortunate. I think I missed most of the worst things that happened in my time there. I had a light touch to it, thankfully. Others saw some terrible things.
Yeah,
on the receiving end in ED or the wards.
Well, we're lucky you came back. I have a dream of bringing back accommodation in those towers which sit at the bottom of Broadway, possibly. And for some reason, things go a little bit slow here. We haven't managed to turn them around and put people into
exactly.
them. That's another day's work. But tell us then about your glittering running career, because we've had Davy Seaton was on this. He started when he was 14 with Gladys Gagnon. She ran right out of the womb. Gladys was running right out of the womb. You were more belated.
I'm the complete flip of that. No sport at primary school. We probably did skipping and threw balls against the wall. That was it. The boys went off and did all the sport. Secondary school, I was the era of gymnastics, Nadia Comaneci and Olga Corbett. So we were all obsessed with gymnastics. But once you leave school, you don't do gymnastics. So no running, no competitive sports or anything like that. And then when I was living in London, it was sort of the era of Jane Fonda and aerobics and jogging. So I had to go out jogging with my Sony Walkman on. But when I told people where I was running to, they were sort of saying, "You can't run there. That's not safe. You can't do that on your own," which happens a lot to female runners. So I gave up on that. But that was my only attempt at jogging. So it wasn't until I came home, had the kids, and they wanted to do Sports Relief. They ran, sponsored by Sainsbury's, whatever, a 1 mile race around the centre of town way back 2010. And they had to have an adult with them. So my husband said, "That's you then." That's absolutely not him. So we walked, jogged our way around, and I sort of thought, "Oh, that was all right." So then I did a Couch to 5K program, the podcasts, just on my own.
So this is before the council. This is before Laura Egg were doing them and Brennan Mulgrew was doing
Oh
them.
yeah.
This was actually, I think, certainly before podcast, but it was on some sort of device. Yeah.
You think you download from NHS website or something like that, and it was brilliant. I was gobsmacked. I did. No way did I think I could run for 3 miles non-stop, and suddenly after 7 weeks, I could.
So tell me how that works, because I mean I've heard people about these motivational people who are speaking to you in ears. I've never tried that. I might go back to it, but so how does it work? You download it. I presume there's thousands of them nowadays, but they tell you to go slow, tell you to go fast. Do they?
Yeah, it's all planned out. So that at the beginning they'll go through a warm up with you, and then they'll say, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to walk for 40 seconds, and then we're going to run for 10 seconds, and they just time it in your ear. Oh. Very gentle. It's not, come on, you're going to do this. It's very, you can do this. Now if your breathing's off, now big deep breath. Now if you've got a stitch, it's okay. Just slow down a bit, but don't stop. So it's very gentle, not to boot camp like, really, that you will get up this hill. So that was good. And so then I just sort of ran around the block myself after that. And then through work I heard about Parkrun. And at that stage there was Waterworks and Victoria Park. And I thought, no, they're too far. There are parts of the city I don't know. I couldn't possibly go there. And then one started up at Queen's, and I thought, well, it's only the bottom of the road, really. I should really try to go to that one. So I wandered up, and that's the hardest bit, I think, for anybody, just to turn up at their first park run when you don't know anybody. But as I discovered, nobody knows anybody. All the people that I now know through Parkrun, they only know each other through Parkrun. They didn't go to school together. They don't work together. They're not on the same street. It's all just this love obsession with Parkrun that gets us all together.
So did on your first day, did you go for the cup of coffee afterwards or not?
Yes, I probably sort of wandered in, had a glass of water, and loitered in the background.
Suspiciously, spacious character.
Yes, it moved me from the building. And then you sort of get talking to people. As you come for the next one, then somebody nods at you, and Northern Ireland, the rain, the rain on, rain off, or it's looking bright or whatever. And then you see that person in the next week, and then somebody finishes at the same time as you, going round, and you start conversations and you get to know people. So then you walk in with somebody to have a cup of coffee, and then you end up staying and talking to more people. So it is completely addictive. And we're very lucky at Queen's that we have that phenomenal space that we can use.
But you're still a runner. Now, I want to talk about your volunteering, but you're still a revered runner among the Dove crew. But you still run, so you do both.
Oh yeah. I love my running. So then after started Parkrun, then I heard about running clubs, had a look at them, joined Belfast Running Club then, which also had its roots through a Couch to 5K program. And that was the kind of thing for me. So when I started with them, I just really did the social runs, and then worked my way up to going to training. So I tried to do training once a week. So
you're doing say 70, 80 miles a week now?
Oh, at least, if not 100.
So you're a social runner. How many?
Absolutely.
You'd go out 2 times, 3 times a week, perhaps? No?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times. Try to always do Parkrun. I love getting out on a Sunday morning for our social run, training on a Tuesday night, and then somewhere in that I might try and fit in another one, depending on who's doing what and who's working. And I used to run on my own, but now there's usually always somebody else to run with, and it's so much easier.
And what gives you the bigger kick? Volunteering, making sure the parkrun happens, or running?
Equal, I think. I think if you were volunteering constantly with responsibility, I think you would kill yourself very quickly. It would demoralize you. I think you need to get your fix from running, and then you can that can carry you through the hassles of volunteering.
But I've seen you double jobbing. I've seen you some Saturday mornings directing and getting people in order. And next thing is you're running around. Is that not taking someone's job? No.
As a trade union rep, I'd be horrified if it was.
Yeah.
And the way we do it is 1 month you're a volunteer coordinator, which is the worst job, trying to get the volunteers for the week. And then the next month you're the run director. So yes, you'll go up, you'll organise it, make sure everybody's out in the right spots, and then you can do the run. But as a run director, you must not run. You must stay at the finish line to be able to coordinate should anything happen and have eyes over everything.
No, I always think that's a position of great responsibility to be a director. As anybody, most people listening will know that the director then will hand out a little lanyard to people with emergency numbers and their volunteer kit and making sure everybody gets home safe. I mean, almost everybody else, if you're scanning the barcodes or you're standing cheering people on or pointing in the one direction, there's not too much responsibility with that, but the director, I always think, is a little bit onerous. But you do it frequently. You're a director frequently.
Well, we've got a rota. There's 11 of us, which means some months a couple of people can be off. But because there's one person doing volunteer coordinator and one person doing run director, it means there's always at least 2 run directors. The others could be there running, but it does mean you've got backup if you're concerned about anything or you've spotted something. You can immediately get to run it past somebody else, so you're not completely on your own.
So having been working in pediatric neurosurgery and ICU, I suppose that's
it was, yeah.
I find it frightening, but I take it to you being a director of Parkrun is on the lower end of the worry scale.
It is, yeah. I used to work when I was working in an office with a person who wasn't a nurse at all, and she'd be panicking about something, and I'm going, hold on, whoa, have we got a load of ambulances outside? Have we run out of beds? Are we trying to transfer somebody from Dublin or London or something? No, we're not doing it. I said, right, calm down. And it's not really an emergency, get it all in perspective. So yeah, I messed up time or a muddy course or a trampoline on the course, whatever. In the wider perspective is really nothing.
Have you ever lost all the results?
Not personally, but some of the team, we all bring different skills to it.
I like the way you're transferring blame immediately.
Oh yeah. Good manager always blames everybody else.
Because I hate scanning because then they say download it and I'm always sure I'm going to lose it, but I think you have two copies, but it can be lost.
Yeah, it can in theory, and the dreaded is that if the results all go completely wrong, everybody gets 59, which isn't happy. But some of the team have good IT skills and they will, we'll just download that onto an Excel spreadsheet and we'll output this into that and I go, work away. Can I publish the results now? So yeah. So we can get over it usually.
There's a parkrun community, and Queen's an example of that. But are there 2 parkrun communities? Is it the organisers and the volunteers and the runners, or how do you encourage the? I mean, I don't think it should be a mandatory, and some people don't want to volunteer. I don't really worry about that. But how do you make sure you have enough volunteers and that it's fun to do and that people want to get involved in that, be a volunteer as well as running it?
We're lucky when we get the Duke of Edinburgh's students doing that, and they're brilliant. They have no fear. Scanning, timekeeping, whatever, no problem, no fear. So they're good. We have 2 at the moment, doing their silvers. They'll be with us for a year. So they learn very quickly all those technical jobs that other people don't want to do. And then quite often then a mother or a father will come with them, and then they end up either going to run or stay on to volunteer. Or injured runners as well. We've got a few people who've had surgery and things at the moment, and they're volunteering on a regular basis. So that gives us a good core to start off with, and they know the course inside out and what to do and what to tell us about and what to panic or not panic about. And then you're just hoping that after that, everybody will take their turn. Every week it's, not quite blackmailing Facebook posts saying, if we don't have enough people this week, it won't happen. We always get there in the end, even if it's people walking up in the morning going, my brother's with me, he can't run. Can he help? Yes, absolutely. Please, he can. We can always use everybody out. It takes at least 15 people to run a park run, between marshals and scanning and all the rest of it. So,
and there's an art to encouraging people, because I know one park run which is even more threatening than the emails I get from the Queen's Park Run saying, that it will be the end of the world if you don't volunteer this week. But it is something that is very rewarding. It's very rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
People need to get over their first one to realize it isn't, the complicated bit is for the run director. Well, or the responsibility is with the run director. So we do just want them to stand there, make sure people go that direction and shout a bit of encouragement on the way past, or that they can run if they're fast and then come in and scan afterwards.
okay.
And it's a great way of getting to know your community. If you're scanning, you're seeing people's names on their forms and everything, so you can start saying, hi, Marcin, hi, Mary, hi, Anne, or whatever. And it's the volunteers that you get to know then on a first name basis. Runners could be in and out through very quickly, but people that volunteer on a regular basis, you get to know their names. You can then talk to them when you're all running around. They're the people you have a chat with in the coffee afterwards. So it's through volunteering that we really build up that sense of community, not just the runners.
And so we know it makes a good volunteer. The person has to turn up on time. They have to make sure they're at their post. As I say to my colleague Tom Eakin, former Lord Mayor, said, he's always telling me leave early. I'm saying a good soldier never leaves his post. You do it that he'll walk, and then you can walk back without a guilty conscience. But what makes a good park runner, do you think? So I have my bugbears, especially people with dogs, but we'll leave that. But what makes it
very contentious?
Is it somebody that volunteers occasionally? Is it
yes,
who realizes
most definitely give something back? I think with anything in a community, you got to take your turn. It's a free event. All people have to do is turn up with a barcode. And that used to be a real bugbear. People didn't even turn up with their barcode and then emailing in afterwards and saying, I forgot my barcode. Can you add me in? Well, why should I sit down on a Saturday afternoon and add in all these people who only had to bring their barcode? But now that people have it on their phones and everything, that makes that less of an issue.
You didn't mention, but you were a sister on the ward, which is just coming out there.
These are the rules. You will follow the rules.
Yeah, no, I thought it was coming.
You will do as you're told.
So
people are still quoting me from a couple of weeks ago when the weather was bad and I was in charge, and I was saying, well, you know what it's been like recently, and the mud everywhere and the puddles, and I was saying, you will stick to the paths, you will run through the puddles, you will get wet feet, you will not run on the grass. Stick to the path, And people were coming up going, Fiona could bring you into work, I'm going to tell anybody I see didn't obey your rules, Fiona, and all this. But it gets the message across.
So tell me this, and we'll finish off. But so we know why you started running, but why do you keep running?
The fun. It's maybe not fun doing the run, but I get a lot out of it. Sense of achievement when I'm finished. I knocked 3 seconds on Saturday. On my best time in 2 years or something. I have been injured. So it's the little wins. Or at my age, I aim to stay in the top 3 of my age category at Parkrun. And then still being fit enough to go and do the odd race. Like with the club, we were in Palma last year, the year before we went to Budapest, so nice things like that. And running in nice places just does your head good. If I can run in trees or along water, I'm happy. That's my contentment.
No, I agree with you. That's the cathedral, the outdoors cathedral. Listen, finally, we're always very grateful. We have a former matron and sister, whatever you want to call yourself, like a real dictator, basically.
Yeah.
In charge of the parkrun. But
my siblings would agree.
But occasionally you have to call upon your skills in nursing and medicine. And we did have a little mishap on the Queen's Parkrun recently. Yeah. And I saw the gentleman, of course, no sense me stopping, but you came up and were able to deal with that. So tell us just what happened, because part of the director's work, part of all the volunteers' work is to be alert for situations like that.
Yes.
But tell us what happened and what you were able to do.
It was good. Other park runners jumped and helped. One fast runner came in and said, there's somebody's fallen back down the track, thinks they've hurt their leg. We have our defib and our first aid kit, so I picked that up, started to run back. Having checked the course, I had changed into walking boots because my feet were soaking. So you very kindly picked up the kit and ran with it. But when we got there, other runners had stopped. We made them comfortable. People then went off and got help from the first aiders in Queens, got different things that I was asking them to do because I was on to ambulance control, who told me there'd be a 20-hour wait for an ambulance. I said, this man's lying on the ground, soaked, miserable and in pain. And they said, is there anything you can do to get him to hospital yourselves? That's what you'd be better doing. Now, they were great. They phoned back a couple of times, did a health assessment and everything with me on him. So we kept him safe, and we did manage to get him to hospital ourselves. Yeah, but you never know what's going to happen. But it's amazing how the entire community kicks in. You know, some visitors that we had from England came up and said, "We're trained first aiders, can we help?" A dog walker was a doctor, she stopped as well, you know. So people are very good at coming forward and helpful. And some people never got to the finish line because they stopped on their way to the finish line, never got their time. You know, they weren't ringing in or messaging to say, you know, make sure I get a time. They just gave up the run and went and helped.
Good for you.
So we got it sorted.
Well, that's the Parkrun spirit, and I think a lot of people are very grateful that you were at the helm that day, and very calm in your approach and got things sorted. So we thank you for also your support for the SPAR Craic 10K, and we are a busy woman. You always turn up to volunteer at that as well.
Oh, that's good crack, and it's a great race because it's such great mixed ability. You've got the fast ones at the front, and then you've got, you know, people like me who are just plodding and want to get round and have fun, and then there'll be the people in the green tutus and the hair dyed green and leprechaun hats, you know, and not just you and all that outfit, but you know, who are just there to have fun and are running with family and friends. And it's a great way to start St. Patrick's Day and a great reflection on the city, I think.
Well,
so it's a pleasure to marshal it.
Okay, well, look, thank you for that. But listen, we thank you for volunteering and running the Parkrun, making Parkrun happen. We thank all the volunteers, because it's one of the most positive things in my lifetime I'd seen in the city of Belfast. So look, thanks very much for rounding off. You'll be the last podcast we release. When people listen, if they listen 4 in a row, hopefully they're still motivated to turn out on St. Patrick's Day and have a run. So if you
I think people realise ordinary people can run like me. You don't have to be Davies or Gladys or whatever. That's good. But thank you for asking me.
You're far from ordinary. Listen, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We're going to sign off now. Thank you. Take care.
All right. See you. Bye.
Let's go.